Thank you, everybody, for coming to the July meeting of the Progressive Democrats of Howard County. This is the first meeting after a very long, very messy primary election season. I think we would probably all agree, and we will be talking a little bit about the primary results, keeping in mind that unfortunately we can't even be 100% sure of the election results so far because of our Republican governor. Hey, David, can you hear us? Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, because of our good old friend Larry Hogan, who decided to veto a bill that would have allowed us to start counting mail-in ballots the day of the election or even before the election. He vetoed that bill, so they were not able to start counting the mail-in ballots until 2 days after the election. And even then, we had to wait. We had to wait longer to count the provisional ballots, which still have not been counted. Then there's a second set of mail-in ballots that are going to be counted on the 29th. So we will be talking about the election results with the caveat that they are not final yet. And of course, we've got a great panel discussion on union organizing and solidarity planned for you all with some great panelists. So moving on here, we have, if you'd like to follow us on social media, subscribe to our email list, become a dues paying member, listen to our podcast, all of that. You can find all of those links at it's called a link tree. It's a website that has a bunch of links for our club, and it's linktr.ee/HOCO progressives. I'll put it in the chat real quick here. Make sure to follow us on everything so that you can keep up to date with everything going on with the club. We try to be quite active. As always, we are sticking to last Monday of the month is our regular meeting time. We're sticking virtual for now. It's looking like there's another uptick in COVID right now. So the next meeting should be on Monday, August 29th at 7 p.m. So save the date on your calendars. Again, you can sign up for our email list, go on our website, hocoprogressives.com. We are a dues paying membership based organization. So if you want to be a voting member, you do have to pay dues. It is also the main way that the club actually has the funds to do what we need to do to be successful in our goals. So we try to make it somewhat manageable in terms of price for dues. So it's $36 for a year-long membership that lasts from January to December. So at the beginning of next year, you have to renew. So $36 for a membership throughout the rest of the year for yourself. Or we have a +1 option for $50 that covers yourself and one other person. You do not have to be a registered Democrat. You do not have to be a registered Democrat and to become a member of the Progressive Democrats of Howard County. If you're unable to afford dues, we do have a 3 to 6 month dues waiver if needed upon request. We got a couple committees if people want to get involved. We've got an outreach committee, which might be a little bit more active after the primary. We've also got International Solidarity Committee, so a field and canvassing committee, which I think we'll still be doing quite a bit of door knocking in the general for Chow Wu and Joan Pontius, who are advancing to some contested general elections there. So again, if you want to become a dues paying member, which I encourage you to do so that we grow as a club and we have the funds to do what we need to be able to do. There are two main ways you can pay the dues. Again, $36 for a membership just for you, $50 for one that covers you and another person. You can either mail us a check the old-fashioned way at 6801 Oak Hall Lane, PO Box 6523 in Columbia, Maryland 21045, or you can pay on Venmo. Our username is @ProgressiveHoco. Yeah, I encourage people to become a member. Treasurer's report is unchanged from last month. We've still got a little bit less than $1,500 in the bank, and then a little bit over $300 in Venmo. And then we still have to, Karen, I think, paid out of pocket for a Progressive Democrats of Howard County banner, and I think we still need to pay her back for that. So we will have an expense of $117.14 for that banner relatively soon.
Okay. I'll see you in a bit, Harry.
So I think we've had a decent amount of people submit membership interest, and we have I should have mentioned this when I was talking about dues and membership. Yeah, it's not it's a two-step process. You not only have to pay dues, but you also have to be voted in by a majority of Progressive Democrats of Howard County members that attend a general meeting. You have to be voted in as a member in addition to paying dues. So it is a two-step process. And we do this at every meeting. So we'll start with, we do have to vote in a couple people here. Although we usually only vote them in if they're here, especially if we're not familiar with them. So we've got, we voted in Joan Pontius and Christine L. last month, and we've got a decent number of people who've submitted since last month. So I'm going to see if any of them happen to be here this evening. Anna Rivera, Jessica Sharp, James Hubbard. Let me see. Yeah, no, I don't think any of them happen to be here this evening. So I guess I would, in the event, since none of them are here and we don't really know much about, really many of them, I guess I would motion that we put voting all of these members off until next month. If I have a second.
I second that, Jake.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay.
Are none of them here tonight?
Not as far as I can see.
We should probably email them
Yeah.
before the next meeting and just tell them. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to reach out. Really, we should probably be doing one-to-ones with them. But yeah, if not that, at least, yeah, try to get reach out to them to get them to come to the meeting. Okay. So any other discussion? No. Okay. All in favor of putting this off, voting on these members off until next meeting, say aye.
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 Okay, all opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion carries. Okay. Moving on then, some upcoming events. There is a Change in Columbia speaker series, which seems to be a series that the Columbia Association is putting on, talking.
Now it's unmuted, but that
Yeah,
means they
can
can
hear
hear
us,
me
David?
talk.
yeah, I hope he can hear us. Yeah. Tomorrow there's a Change in Columbia speaker series hosted by the Columbia Association, which seems to be a recurring series that they're planning to do moving forward, talking about different ways that Columbia is changing or expected to change. So tomorrow the panelists will be Amy Gowan of the Howard County Department of Planning and Zoning, and Jessica Bella, who's the Columbia Association
And what do you want, babe?
manager,
Tell me again, I'm sorry.
who's the Columbia Association manager of community development and real estate services. And the day after that, on Wednesday, is the day that the provisional ballots will be counted. And that could change the results of some of the elections, but only temporarily, because 2 days after that, on Friday, there will be the second round of mail-in ballots, which will be counted in Howard County. And I believe that is the last set of votes that needs to be counted before we can be sure of the election results. So we'll have a definite picture of the results sometime after that. And then another event coming up is Saturday, August 6th at 8 a.m. The Howard County Democratic Central Committee is hosting a quote unquote unity breakfast at the Hilton Garden Inn at 8241 Snowden River Parkway, Columbia, Maryland. They have invited.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hey, Jake,
Yeah.
I just wanted to, so that Change in Columbia speaker series, just wanted to encourage attendance to that one because I think, it's one of those, meetings that just my experience, the county puts out there just, maybe to throw out ideas about, zoning and land use, potential changes coming into the county. And, people who are interested, it's definitely worth, just attending to see, what, especially DPZ is, like what they have in mind, given that then the general plan is coming up next year. So I wanted to just recommend that.
Yeah, and she
Are you going, Harry?
Have I muted? Now, they will hear what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I'll attend. I think it's online, so I'll attend.
Yeah, it's an in-person thing, and they have an online option. It's at a place called Slayton House, which I've never been there before.
Yeah, so that's in the Wild Lake Village Center area. It's right next to the, well, a lot of people will know what Splashdown is, but right next to the indoor pool is Slayton House, right in that area.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Planning
So-
on listening in on the Zoom.
And yeah, she does or they do, or yeah, Amy Gowan does work for the county government. So yeah, they may actually implement some of the things that people bring up at the event. So yeah, and then again on Saturday they have the unity breakfast, as I mentioned. So that's all the events.
Are you going, Jake, to the breakfast?
Yeah, I do plan to go.
Why? Not that I'm discouraging you, I'm just curious of why.
I think, and we'll talk a little bit more, about when we talk about the primary results with the central committee. But little spoiler alert, the slate that I was a member of, and Joy and many other people were members of, the HOCO for Us slate, running on the message of getting corporate and developer money out of the Democratic Party. Unfortunately, we were actually, none of us were victorious. We did not get elected, and the incumbent central committee, with the exception of one of their members, all got reelected. And then Maureen Evans Arthurs, who was also an incumbent but not on their slate, she got reelected as well. So the reason I'm going is, they marketed it towards, in the promo, they said it's for, everybody, anybody in Howard County who's a Democrat. But it was they marketed it specifically for anybody who was a candidate, a Democratic candidate in the primary, win or lose. And I saw it on social media, Thais. I don't know if I haven't checked my campaign email since the campaign, so I don't know if they sent Kiana saying she got it through the HOCO for us email. So maybe they did send it to everybody's campaign email, but I saw it on social media. And, obviously I have disagreements with the now reelected Central Committee, which is why I decided to try to run a slate against them in the first place. But nonetheless, I think there's a way to still, now that the primary is over and we lost, there is still a way to, try to get some of those changes implemented. And this isn't the approach everybody has to take, but at least for me, try to work with them in some way. If for nothing else, because I want them to help with both Joan Pontius and Chow Will in District 9A and in District 5 for the county council. And, I think it might just benefit me in that regard to try to build some positive relationship with them. And I had a positive relationship with a lot of them beforehand. So, that's why I'm going, just because I want to try to win them over to Chow and Joan for the general election. I'm going with Joan, and I think Karen's going. Not sure who else plans to go. Yeah. Lizette, you're welcome to come with us. I'm usually not a morning person, but hey, free breakfast. I guess I can make it out. Yeah, Drew's gonna be there. And hey, we could maybe even, some of us could even wear our slate shirts if they want, because that message of getting corporate and developer money out of the party is still still needs to be heard. So yeah. So those are the events, at least that I'm aware of, coming up. And moving on, so we've got the primary results. I should have put a little graphic to show, who of our endorsements, was elected and who unfortunately did not advance. But nonetheless, I can cover it retroactively after we go over the results. But first, I'll cover state results, and people feel free to comment. This could be a discussion. If people have, I was certainly surprised by some of these, very much the gubernatorial results, at least on kind of in both parties, I was surprised by. So on the Republican side, you had far right, really insurrectionist Dan Cox bust people out on January 6th, tweeted Mike Pence is a traitor on January 6th, and was massively underfunded to the opponent, Kelly Schultz, who was sort of the Hogan-backed, quote unquote, moderate establishment Republican candidate, and was known she was going to run for years. Dan Cox got in the race much later. Again, Kelly Schultz had way more money, press, and establishment support. But nonetheless, when the election was coming up, Larry Hogan was not campaigning for Kelly Schultz. Larry Hogan was in New Hampshire campaigning for himself for president in what's going to be definitely a failed run if he runs for president. But people are saying maybe that's a sign that he knows Kelly Schultz is going to lose. I didn't know. It seems that maybe that is what his sense was, and Kelly Schultz did lose, not even by a little bit. Dan Cox won by quite a bit. And I will add that it was with the help of $1 million, I believe, the Democratic Governors Association, the national group, spent boosting Dan Cox's candidacy. While you have the Democratic Party talking about how dangerous the fascist takeover, the Trump takeover of the Republican Party is, and how, you know, you got to donate to us to stop them, to fight back. Here they are spending $1 million to try to get one of them elected. And of course, their rationale is, well, Maryland's a moderate state. Dan Cox the Maryland electorate would never elect somebody, a quote unquote whack job like Dan Cox, as Nicole pointed out that they like to describe him as. You know, they'd say, no, the Maryland would never elect a far right whack job like Dan Cox. And so they spent money to prop him up, thinking he'd be easier to beat. And maybe they're right. But it's certainly a gamble. So Dan Cox actually beat Kelly Schultz. And this is something that the National Democratic Party is doing in other states too, propping up far right Trump Republicans. I believe they did it in Pennsylvania as well. And the guy in Pennsylvania might actually win because they're a little bit more purple than us, I think. On the Democratic side, you know, everybody was saying for years, you know, Peter Franchot, it's his race to lose. It's his race to lose. He's the front runner. Been, you know, very popular, reelected statewide office many times. He'd been running for far longer than everybody else, basically since last election. Was basically, you know, again, his race to lose, had millions of dollars, a lot of name recognition. You know, and then you have Wes Moore, who was consistently polling, you know, was definitely the next. If it wasn't Franchot, it was clear it was probably going to be Wes Moore. And Wes Moore did end up pulling it out, but he certainly got way more of the. I thought it was going to be a close race if Wes Moore won, but Wes Moore, you know, got 33% of the vote. 5% more than the next person, which was not Peter Franchot. Peter Franchot really, I think, underperformed. Peter Franchot came in a distant third, got 21%, whereas Tom Perez actually edged up and came in second with 28%. So Wes Moore 33, Tom Perez 28, Franchot 21, and then John King, which you know, I had my criticisms of him, but a lot of people did view him as the quote unquote progressive candidate in the race, and he only got a measly 3%, believe it or not. But
Smashed.
yeah, no, it did not do very well. But I'll be quiet for a second. I don't know if anybody has any. I see people have been saying stuff in the chat, but I don't know if anyone has any comments about either the Republican, or I'm sorry, either of the governor primaries there. Okay, maybe not. All right. Well, yeah, as for comptroller, Brooke Learman, as you know, I think most people expected, Brooke Learman really steamrolled Tim Adams. Brooke Learman with 65% of the vote, Tim Adams 34%. Tim Adams, who was Tim Adams was the Bowie, the mayor of the city of Bowie. Brooke Learman, of course, a state delegate, and her father was also very influential, former state party chair. And Brooke Learman just had a lot of establishment support throughout the entire election. Ran, you know, I've got my criticisms of her, but I've got my criticisms of Tim Adams as well. But Brooke Learman, just regardless of what you think of her, I think just ran a very strong campaign the entire time. Had support of almost every elected official, basically, whereas Tim Adams was largely self-funded. So yeah, Brooke Learman with a pretty crushing victory for comptroller. And then for attorney general, Anthony Brown, and for the record, Progressive Democrats Howard County did not endorse in any of the state elections, but Anthony Brown.
I did have people at the polls that actually said, I know it's not Progressive Democrats, but that did say they wish, I know you expressed before why you didn't want the slate to endorse anyone, but they said they wanted something where they could just go inside and just look at our ballot and you just tell them top to bottom everyone to vote for.
Yeah, no, the issue with that is particularly the ones where there's no like great, you know, all the candidates in the race have their flaws, and then it's a matter of like, even if you endorse the lesser of two evils or whatever, then everybody's going to say that you back all of their problematic things. And also, I just don't know how clear of a consensus there was. But Anthony Brown was personally who I was supporting. Katie O'Malley's husband, Martin O'Malley, has a terrible record when it comes to mass incarceration of Black men, which is why Maryland has more.
That's why we gave her the bye, Felicia.
Yeah, no, she did not. Yeah, so Anthony Brown with I thought it was going to be a relatively close race, but Anthony Brown with a pretty impressive victory, 56%. Katie O'Malley 43%. Moving on real quick to the local primary results before we go on to the panel. So the primary, the local primaries was a little bit more interesting. Calvin Ball for county executive, of course. I think we as a club had endorsed Harry Dunbar, who unfortunately lost. Calvin Ball won with really big margin, which as I love Harry Dunbar as a PDHC member. Again, we endorsed him, but it's just when you're not an elected official, it's hard enough for an elected official to primary a sitting county executive, but for a non-elected official to primary sitting county executive is just very, it's a very long shot. So I did expect Calvin Ball to probably win by quite a bit.
Hey, Jake,
yeah.
do you happen to know the difference in Harry's showing from this year and 4 years ago?
I think Joy was saying Calvin got more of the vote this time than last time.
Okay.
Harry got 16% last time.
Okay.
And how much did he get this time?
13. I mean, it's well within the margin of error, so it's basically the same.
But nonetheless, I thank Harry. I don't know if Harry's on the call tonight, but I thank Harry Dunbar because I don't think Calvin Ball is doing a good job as the county executive. So somebody's got to step up, and I think everybody deserves a challenger, particularly if you're not doing great things in office. So thank you, Harry Dunbar, for running nonetheless. Moving on with County Council District 1, where where I think a lot of the eyeballs were at this year. We had Liz Walsh, District 1 incumbent, who we of course endorsed. She got 68% of the vote compared to Naveen Kurtam with 31% of the vote. And this one,
Another bye, Felicia.
Yeah, definitely. This was a big one. This was one I think myself and a lot of other people, at least until maybe the very end, thought that this was going to be a really tight race. Naveen Kurtam, backed by several members of the incumbent Central Committee, had a lot of current or former elected officials endorsing her. I think over 60% of her donations were from developer affiliated entities, and she had the backing of the police union. So she had the machine behind her, you could say. And they were really gunning for Liz Walsh hard. And, I was a little scared, but clearly I didn't really have to be, because the District 1 voters, they just know what Liz has done the last 4 years. And I was, as a District 1 resident, I was really reassured that. And I think it quite honestly is a very strong statement and sets her up quite well for a county executive race in 2026. And I think that's what, if you're in any progressive organization, whether it's PDHC or any group right now, I think that's what the movement should be pushing for, is a Liz Walsh county executive in 2026. But District 4 County Council, Lori, I see you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I got 6 separate mailings from Naveen, and the amount of money that involved. So she had lots of cash, she had lots of posters everywhere, and it didn't work.
Yeah, it was reassuring to see, because it can be, you think money is everything. In a lot of races it is, but not all of them. So the grassroots organizing, it pays off for sure. Yeah, and I think one of the mailers I got just had a cop car on it. So she was really challenging Liz from the right, and it did not go well. And as for District 4, that was another sort of developer funded, police union endorsed primary challenger, but nonetheless, even though they were developer funded and police union endorsed, they were trying to position themselves from the left of the incumbent, whereas with District 1, they're positioning themselves as coming from the right. And positioning themselves coming from the left did seem to be a little bit more of effective of a strategy. But with that being said, at least again, the results now, which will change on Wednesday and change again on Friday when we count the provisional and second set of mail-in ballots, at least for now, the results show that Deb Young, the incumbent, who is a PDHC endorsed candidate, and we did way more door knocking for her than any other candidate this cycle. She currently, as it stands, is up by 2%, only like 160 votes to her opponent, Jansen Evelyn, who him and I had a little altercation outside of one of the polling stations. So it's a little personal with him and I now, but even if it wasn't, I already was not supporting him just because of the developer contributions and the police union backing. But that one was a real nail biter also because we knew it was going to be close, but again, they counted early voting and election day results the day of the election, and then they counted the first set of mail-in ballots 2 days after. But when they only counted early voting and election day results on election day, Jansen Evelyn was up by like 6%, which was looking like a difficult margin for Deb to come back from the mail-in ballots. But so that's why it was I think Curie was describing it as like it felt like a near-death experience that anybody who was a Deb Young supporter had, and nonetheless they counted the votes that 2 days later, and Deb's up, and we'll see if that stays up or not. But Laura, I see you have your hand up.
I got a text from Deb, and she said that I guess they're doing the provisional ballots now, and that she was at 63% for her, and she didn't expect that to change. So she's feeling very confident.
They're doing provisional ballots today.
I don't know what they're doing, but I got a text from her the other day saying that whatever ballots they were counting, she was at 63%.
Yeah, I think that was the first set of mail-in ballots.
Okay.
And I think she was saying that was consistent with basically every precinct. She was winning by 60%.
Yeah.
So it's just a question now of will that margin hold for the second set of mail-in ballots, which I have to assume came out, were received by the Board of Elections later than the first set of mail-in ballots, which is why they're counting them later. And I have to wonder, when were the timing of the mailers sent, and when were the timing of the first set of was it a matter of the first set of mail-in ballots were mailed, then the anti-Deb mailers came in, and then the second set of mail-in ballots were sent? In that case, the second set of mail-in ballots could be more anti-Deb than the first set of mail-in ballots, which are of course very pro-Deb. So this race certainly is probably too close to call for sure, but I'm hoping that the current results and the current trend stays. Here, I see you've got your hand up.
Since you mentioned this, since you mentioned my name, I wanted to first I did say that it was a near-death experience on several occasions, and I think the reason I say that, I saw, there's, I think the adults are not in charge in Howard County, okay, and given the amount of improper, terrible decisions that have been going on, I saw a lot of progress in a generally positive direction the last 4 years, even though, you know, it's incremental, it was just in a generally positive direction. And, you know, with the outcome in District 4, you know, where it's tenuous right now, of course, but we'll, you know, hoping for, you know, just to maintain this current, you know, trajectory. I think, you know, we still, that's, you know, that may be averted, but I think if, you know, if it goes the other way, people, you know, should realize that, you know, the level of, sorry to say, but the level of, you know, unaccountable behavior, and, you know, perhaps even, you know, the developers are looking to carve up the county amongst themselves, and, you know, take hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money. And, you know, that's what, you know, that was really what it was really concerning to me. And, you know, anybody who felt, you know, that, you know, sort of sense of urgency on, you know, on Tuesday night, you know, and Wednesday until Friday, I think should continue to remember that through next year. And, you know, and just, you know, we need a change in our approach and be a little bit more aggressive in how we, you know, we work with, you know, and sharing what, and expressing what we want, what we stand for, because yeah, it's going to be really it's going to be a tough, you know, it's going to be tough. So we have, you know, it was just a reminder to me, sort of a wake-up call that, you know, we can't you know, we can't be complacent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This was, I mean, you know, people might not realize the impact, but, you know, having a developer bought or not having developer bought county council person could be the difference between, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars that will either go to, you know, subsidies and tax breaks to corporations that don't need them, or to desperately needed social programs that address poverty in the sixth wealthiest county in the country that still has lines and lines and lines of people lining up because they don't have enough money to feed themselves every week in this county. You know, this it's a choice between, do we want hundreds of millions of our taxpayer dollars to go again to corporations and tax breaks that don't need them, or do we want to fully fund our public schools? And so that's why these county council races are important. That's why every door that we knocked is important. But again, that being said, it shouldn't have been this close in the first place. And if we think that just because, let's assume that the lead holds, Deb Young wins. If we assume that the establishment and the corporate lobby and the developers are just going to take their ball and go home and give up, no, that's not the case. They're going to come back harder 4 years from now or 2 years from now. So that means we have to, again, you know, really harden down in our approach. I mean, PDHC, I like to think we've taken a fairly hardline approach so far, but we need to, you know, get other, expand our group and get other organizations on board with that line of thinking too, because the more people that take that approach, the harder it is for our elected officials to continue to behave like this. But continuing, finishing up real quick, for state delegate, on the Republican side for 9A, Trent Kittleman, on the Kittleman name, she got reelected with 51% of the vote. And in the other open seat, because I think the Reed Novotny is running for state senate there, so his seat's opened up. There's two candidates, Jenny Zhang and Saif Rahman, I think, who had run last time. And Jenny Zhang ended up winning in that second place slot. She got 27% to Saif's 21%. So Trent and Jenny Zhang will go on in the general. As for the Democrat side, Natalie Ziegler, who we did not endorse in that race. She got 42%. She finished in a very strong first, admittedly, which was kind of surprising to me, quite honestly. And then second place was PDHC-endorsed candidate Chow Will with 31%. Congrats to Chow. I'm not sure if he is on the call tonight. Yeah, I don't think he is, but congrats to Chow. We definitely have to knock a lot of doors for him. And again, Joan Pontius, who I don't have on here because she didn't have a primary challenger. But we really got to knock hard for Chow and Joan in 5 and 9A, which I think there's a lot of overlap in. And then unfortunately, I was sad to see Steve Bolin, who is here with us tonight, who's also PDHC member. He did not. I was really, hoping for Chow and Steve. Steve did technically get enough votes for our endorsement. So even if we didn't advertise it, I still thought of him as kind of one of our candidates. So that was unfortunate to see, but thank you nonetheless for. And I guess again, technically, these results could change. These results could change. We don't know.
Yeah, no, my guess is going to be Natalie and Chow, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But I think the worry is on the Republican side. Trent seems to still be very strong. So you guys, we're all going to have to go out and help the Democrats beat Trent if we want to get 2 in this time.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And thank you for your support, you guys. I really do. I really mean that. I really sincerely mean thank you for your support.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thank you for running. Twice now. It's a huge. I mean, I think of the time and energy I put into like our central committee race, and I know running for like an actual office is probably that on steroids there. So but I hope you continue to be involved because you signed the pledge, and I feel like you got good values and you're a good guy. So thank you. And congrats to Linda if Linda's there. I actually did vote for her, believe it or not, because we had a couple free votes because we only had 17 people on our slate. So congrats to her.
So she's listening from afar. She says thanks, Jake, and thanks to everybody here.
Yeah,
she appreciates it.
No problem. But yeah, okay. So and then state delegate for 13, real quick. Vanessa Atterbury reelected, Shane Pendergrass, who usually was the top vote getter in the district, had been there for many years. She retired. Vanessa Atterbury is now the top vote getter, it appears, 29% of the vote. Vanessa was 1 vote from getting our endorsement. But Jen Terrassa did get our endorsement. She got reelected with 23%. And then for that 3rd slot, the Team 13 candidate that they added to the slate, of course, won, as I think most people were predicting, Pam Gazzoni, state senator of that same district, Guy Gazzoni's ex-wife. She got 20%, came in 3rd, and I think it was a little bit closer than people expected, though. Amy Brooks, who's not running on the slate, got 17% of the vote. So she's
I don't think that Amy has conceded yet. If I remember correctly, she's saying that there's still thousands of ballots that haven't been counted. So
yeah, no, that's a good point. And she should not concede at this point because 3%, that means that she only needs a 1.5% swing to win. I didn't look at how she did in the first set of mail-in ballots, whether they trended her way or against her. But good point. This race very much could change still. So Amy Brooks was 17% in a close 4th. We'll see if that changes. Becca Nyberg in last place with 9%. I don't think. I think she's too far out of the running. Yeah.
Becca Nyberg did 1 mailing. Team 13 did 3 mailers, and then Vanessa did 2 mailers independent of Team 13, and then Team 13 did a specific mailer endorsing Brooke.
Team 13 endorsed Brooks?
Yes, for comptroller.
Brooke.
They did a specific mailer just endorsing her, and then of course Terry, Lamb, that slate, when they were handing out at the polls, they had Brooke on their lit as well.
Yeah. When you said Brooke, I thought you said Brooks, like Amy Brooks, and I was like, they were promoting their opponent. But yeah, no, that makes sense. They were promoting Brooks. So yeah, we'll see if 13 change.
I think mailers really is very effective in this primary, looks like.
I mean, mailers are always used. You know, it's if you have the money, then yeah, use them. It's not as effective as door knocking, in my belief, but yeah, mailers.
Westmore did 3 mailers, and I didn't get any mailers from anyone else. Only reason I paid attention to mailers this year is because I was running, but typically I throw them away. And if I spoke to a handful of people, they all said they didn't even look at the mailers. They just got so many that they just saw them and just threw them in the trash.
Yeah, like mailers have varying effect, but I'll tell you, specifically for something like circuit court judge or central committee, you know, like more low information races, mailers are probably much more effective because it's harder for people to do their own research. But there's a reason why Naveen Kirtan sent so many mailers, but still did so poorly, and it's because, you know, mailers do have a limited impact to a certain degree.
I heard she wasn't involved in the community. She went to a lot of events. She said that she campaigned for 14 months, which is a very long time to lose as badly as she did. But I heard that, you know, so I heard someone say white people rejected her because they referred to her as the girl with big hair. And she didn't, I don't know how her door knocking was, but they just said going to events is not interacting with the community.
Yeah. She
But in Aisha Khan from Baltimore, I believe she won this time. Last time she did it.
Oh, Aisha Khan won?
Yeah.
Okay. For state delegate, right?
Yeah. Last time she didn't, but she gave it this time she won.
Nice. I think I met her at an event for a Baltimore County Council candidate earlier, but well, congrats to her. But real quick, just to get through these real quickly, because we want to get to the panel discussion. So the circuit court judge, Stephanie Porter, defeated Alicia Altimarano in both the Democratic and Republican primaries, I think by, you know, healthy margins in both races. So Stephanie Porter moves on and will not have an opponent in the general election. Stephanie Porter just is going to be the judge now. So Alicia Altimarano from the Central Committee will not become a judge. Board of Education, Dan Newberger, is Dan still here? He was here.
Yep, I'm here. Thanks, Jake.
Hello, Dan. Congrats, by the way. Dan, Jackie McCoy, Lin Feng Chen, and Tootie Adler. And I did not have a chance to write all the percentages down, but Dan, were you the top vote getter?
So far, yes.
Okay, well, congratulations. Congratulations to you. Unfortunately, the PDHC endorsed candidates, Julie Hotop and Meg Ricks, did not win their races. They were not victorious, but thank you to both of them. They ran strong grassroots campaigns, ran on the issue. So
Dan, your yard sign is posted on my neighbors. So I can just say that congratulations that you won, and my neighbor is very happy.
yeah,
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, the yard sign. Yeah. Yes, very environmental. But yeah, okay. And last one, Democratic Central Committee. As I already mentioned, the Howard County United slate defeated our HOCO for Us slate. But this is I don't want to harp on this too much because again, I want to get on the panel. But even though we did not get any of our members elected, at least as of today, I don't at all consider this race to be a loss, especially considering we did knock probably thousands, but definitely hundreds of doors for Deb Young. And it's looking like, if she wins, it's going to be by a very slim margin. So I know for a fact if we did not run as a slate, she likely would not have won her race. Us running got the incumbent Central Committee to actually adopt a platform in response to us running on creating a platform because we didn't have one. And so they felt embarrassed and then quickly developed a platform to respond to that criticism. and we put the issue of getting corporate and developer money out of the Democratic Party in the conversation, to the point where Columbia Democratic Club was trying to host events, literally trying to say that we're not allowed to do or push for these things that we were pushing for, that we absolutely are allowed to push for, and happen to be also very popular with the voters. So I happen to think, Howard County, HOCO for us slate, we had a little over $3,000 to spend. The Howard County United slate had over $10,000 to spend, including $2,000 from a former big pharma lobbyist. So, I like to think that had we had equal money and resources as the opposing slate, and it was just a test of our messages, and I definitely think that we likely would have won, but unfortunately, we're a grassroots campaign. We didn't have those resources. We launched relatively late, and we just couldn't get over the hump there. So, congrats to the Howard County United slate who won, with the exception of Adrian Jemmett, and congrats to Maureen Evans Arthur for her reelection, especially not being on either slate. But I think that was probably more to do with her last name being Arthur and being at the top of the ballot. But congrats nonetheless. And yeah, here.
Hey Jake, just wanted to say, I think what really did us in was the smear that we were funded by the Koch brothers, and that we did not believe that COVID existed. I really think that had a terrible impact on our campaign.
I don't think so, because that rumor was actually about the other slate as well, come to find out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, not that specific woman who we heard it from about ours was not saying it about the other slate. She was just saying about our slate, and in fact, she was promoting the other slate using their hashtag. But yeah, I mean, I think Hiri was saying that kind of tongue in cheek, and
I'm just being facetious.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of I do think that the level of attacks that we faced simply for running on a message of getting corporate and developer money out of the Democratic Party, not being afraid to hold elected Democrats accountable when they act like Republicans, the level of vitriol and, just misinformation that was leveled at us shows to me, at least, that the establishment is seeing us as a legitimate threat to their power, which I think is a good thing. To the point where, again, I think we will likely turned out to have made the difference in this District 4 council race, but we'll see on that. Moving on, I didn't have a chance to update with the club updates. I can't remember if we've done any podcast interviews since last time. This is the slide from beforehand. So, in terms of which of our candidates won, looks like it was Jen Terrassa, Chow Wu, Liz Walsh, Deb Young, Joan Pontius. So five out of our 8 candidates won. So that's over 50%, election rate. Granted, some of them are incumbents, but nonetheless, I think not bad for a quote unquote fledgling group that's only been around for a little over a year. It's our very first election cycle, and I'm pretty proud of the impact that we were able to make both through the slate and through the club. And I wish I had a chance to kind of put up a graphic of which of the pledge signing candidates won and which of them lost. Maybe that's something we could work on after this, Megan. I know Lin Fang, although we did not endorse him, he was a pledge signer. So I think I saw a lot of candidates who signed the pledge, put it on their literature, made campaign ads about it, including Steve here. So I do think that the pledge was a very good idea. I'm glad candidates utilized it. And very last thing before we go to the panel is we've got, in terms of where we go from here, now that the primary election's over, two things is we need to put in the same energy that we put into Liz and Deb now into Chow Wu and Joan Pontius. We got to get the only elected Republican on our county council out of there. It went over 47% to a Democrat in 2018. It has now gone through a round of redistricting, and it's even more favorable to a Democrat. So this very much is a winnable race. Joan Pontius made history by being the first non-incumbent to qualify for the Citizens Election Fund in Howard County.
Congrats, Joan, if she's still on. Congrats.
Yes. Yeah, and that was and she did it in less than 2 months too. Raised over $10,000 from 125 people. Has a very, very strong grasp of the issues as well. So she's definitely a legitimate contender to David Youngman, and would also be a third unbought vote. She has also signed the No Developer Donation Campaign pledge, and is ready to take on the developer and corporate lobbies. And so, and her and both, Chow Wu as well. Their districts overlap, so it should be easy. And part of doing that is if we become a progressive Maryland chapter officially, we will have access to a lot more resources than we do currently, including van access countywide, which is the voter access network, which would let us, allow us to target voters, door knock, be in any district that we want in the county. We would be able to do it even outside of election time. And also just progressive Maryland has a pretty big name in the state. So it would give us a little bit more legitimacy and make elected officials a little bit more responsive to us when we, try to exert our will. So progressive Maryland, just like Progressive Democrats of Howard County, it is a dues-based membership-based organization. And all we have to do to become a chapter is simply have 15 people in Howard County that are dues-paying members. So I encourage people to pay dues here. I will put it in the chat. There, it's you can become a dues paying member as little as $5 a month. I think we almost have 15 members already, but we need a couple more. So as soon as we can do that, we can become a Progressive Maryland. They're already on board with the idea. So we can become a chapter of them. So I just put the link in the chat. But with no further ado, I'm sorry to all the panelists and everybody that we're not, I think I said probably around 8:45 we would start that. So I'm sorry. But nonetheless,